listening to the RM Podcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another fine episode of the Red Moon Podcast. The Oscars are over, another year is behind us. What the hell was that? We're going to discuss it all on tonight's show. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And
Keith Cheatham.
Oh, and we've got another great review for everybody out there.
I've never been happier for the Oscars to have come and gone. Like,
I know.
Honestly, this is the year I look forward to them the least. Like, I really didn't. I wasn't looking forward to them to begin with. There are some legitimately great movies that were nominated, but there were also a lot of nominations for other reasons.
Right.
And I just, in general, I wasn't anticipating this one. And then once it was over, I'm like, wow.
Yep.
I already wasn't looking forward to it. But after seeing it, I was just like, yeah, I'm glad we're done this year.
Yeah, if you think the woke award shows are over, well, that was the last one of the season. But they definitely aren't. But we'll get into that. We'll talk all things Oscars. Who won? Biggest surprises of the night, because there definitely were.
It doesn't matter who won, because all of America lost.
Where are the Avengers when you need them?
So true.
Oh, and we've also got our fantastic review of Mortal Kombat coming up here soon.
I'm excited.
It's going to be a good debate. It's going to be good.
I'm
We're
excited.
We're split. We're split
Well,
on
not
this.
all.
I think so, because when you find out my review, I lied. I told y'all.
Then we wouldn't be split at all.
Tomfoolery.
Oh.
No, you don't know that.
We'll get there.
I gave it 4 stars.
Oh my gosh.
That's very split.
No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't nowhere near
that's
that.
like me watching Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Exactly, and I didn't go that bad.
Yeah.
No, I can't do
Zack
that.
Snyder's Justice League. Well, maybe not. I was gonna say it was better than this, but
Yeah. We'll get into
it
it.
had actually
All right.
okay. To be fair, it had more plot, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
We
We
got-
got 4 hours more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
2.5 more.
I hope it's better in that regard. If it's not, Zack Snyder really doesn't know how to
I'd say
tell
the
a story.
writing the writing was about on par.
Hey,
Maybe that's
you
some
need
of
to
the
watch
acting.
the black and white version.
Yes, that makes it better.
Well, it tells.
I
more.
haven't.
It
but you
explains
should.
more of the story. It's way better.
Yeah.
From what I heard.
It's the same movie in
It's
black
the
and
same
white,
movie.
No.
but that black and
You-
white makes all the difference.
Feel the difference.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it makes
see the
all
difference.
The
Wow.
difference.
Where
Just
once
saying.
was color, there
guess
is now
I will.
none.
Yep.
Well, that's equality.
Hey, no, that's
No,
not
because now it's
equality.
pure black and white. There
Yeah.
are no shades
That's
of
true.
of
Well,
color.
yeah.
Well,
I
no.
got that
Remember,
wrong.
you've got to recognize
Yeah.
your race to understand your culture. That's what we're being told today. It's not about being colorblind anymore. That's the
I've
old motto.
Really, no
Yeah.
idea what you're talking
I
about.
don't either. We
No,
got on a
I don't
black
even
and
wanna
white
go there.
tangent.
I don't want to
and
go there tonight.
I just want to play Michael Jackson's Black or White now.
I just want to go home and play.
don't matter.
It don't matter.
It doesn't
I want
matter.
to go home and play Mortal Kombat.
That actually is what this movie
Yep.
made me want to do most. It really made me want to play the games, which a genius idea.
Mortal
makes you
Kombat
wanna-
11's getting a PS5 update.
Ooh, there you go.
And it's I think it's on sale as part of their spring sale. So, because I've been thinking about buying it.
Well, isn't
You better not.
10 is the
You
one
better
that's
get
free.
Cold War before you get that.
I'm not buying Cold War.
What?
I don't have no interest in Cold War.
Oh my gosh. We got to play Call of Duty.
You know what I have
You
an
can play
interest in?
Warzone?
I know, but Warzone's not even close to freaking Cold War.
I have an interest
Really?
in cold brew.
Cold War that much better?
This
It's
cold
so
brew
good.
brought to us
I just
from
feel
the
like
Fine
most Call of
City-
Duty is all the same. So if you
It's-
play one,
I
you
can't
play
plug
them
that
Best
all.
Call of Duty since Black Ops 2.
I didn't care for the Black Ops either. I like Modern Warfare and the originals,
They
and
just-
that's about the end of it.
Okay.
It's kind of
Yeah.
funny because I'm trying to rep. Oh gosh,
Oh, what are you doing?
static.
this like this pot on this.
What are we
board.
drinking tonight?
Wait.
That's
Here's
what I was trying to
the-
rep.
Here's the thing: is Call of Duty on sale for less than $25?
No, it's
Okay.
like I think it's down to 30.
Okay, because see, Mortal Kombat 11 was. That's why I was considering it, because then I don't have to pay anything
true.
at all, because I have a $25
You got that gift
The
card.
whole time you all were promoting that, I was trying to hold up your beer that you brought us graciously from Chicago, the
It's
Windy
good.
City. And but you know,
Chicago microbrew.
it's got a tang.
Moody
It's got a little bit of a twang on it. Twang, tang.
Brewed
Sweet.
by Moody Tongue Brewing Company, Chicago, Illinois. And it is pretty good.
It's one thing Chicago done right.
Well,
That and Chicago.
The movie.
sorry.
The movie, not the city.
No,
the band.
I was
Oh,
talking about the band.
There's no movie
Oh.
called Chicago.
Yes, there
Yes,
is.
there is.
What? What movie?
It won
I've
an
never-
Oscar.
yeah.
Oh, the musical.
Yeah. I
I
thought he was talking about the movie.
thought he was
but-
serious.
I forgot completely about that movie.
I did.
Wow.
He said, "There's no movie called Chicago."
Chicago?
I was like,
I ain't gonna
it,
lie. Hey.
it was an Oscar winner.
the what is it? The Cell Tango? What is it? Gel Cell Tango or whatever the song is called. Oh my gosh, it's like it has Maya in it from when she was big back in the day. That actually that is a good movie. I
Yeah.
enjoyed that movie.
Yeah.
Good old Catherine Zeta-Jones and Renee Zellweger.
Before Renee Zellweger
Yeah,
butchered her
plastic.
face.
Hey, no, I
Yeah.
thought she looked presentable.
She looked better
At
last
the
night.
Oscars, I thought she looked good.
She looked much better last night than she has in recent years.
See,
Yeah.
Sean thought different.
Oh,
you were
no,
like, "What
man.
is that?"
Oh, you
I
must
thought-
not have seen her last year. She looked awful
She
last
looked
year.
pretty bad last year.
I think this year
remember
she
she's looked
forgot the
kinda
Botox
bad every
shots.
year.
Yeah, she gave up on the Botox this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Her face
thought-
didn't look as pumpy.
I thought she
No.
looked like she
Yeah.
was wrapped in plastic before they brought her out there.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
that was
That's
maybe
definite.
because last year it was, I think, from her role that she won the Oscar for it. I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe she was. I
I don't even remember the name of that
I
movie.
don't know, but I think that
I know we're timed.
instead of we haven't hit 10 minutes yet. But
we haven't
don't
teased our
we don't
relationship
have to
segment
take the
either.
full 10 minutes. You know.
True, and people are probably more worried about our Mortal Kombat review.
Yeah.
because
The
we actually
Oscars.
got
That's big news.
a negative review on our what
Oh,
movie
it
was
wasn't
that?
a negative
Well,
review, but
just-
it was
a
it was
point of
a
contention.
disagreeing comment about my review for Chaos Walking.
Yes.
And
Walking, yeah.
I don't disagree with a lot of the
So
points.
bad I forgot
he
the
made.
name. We could pull it up on
Well,
YouTube during
I
the
would
review.
the
We could
points
do
he
that.
made were good ones, but they were all also things that we had
discussed
discussed
on the show.
after the review. So I don't think he saw the whole show, just the review, which is fine if you only are just watching the review.
Yeah.
But in that case, he didn't realize that we did actually go back and talk about some of the problems he had with my review. So
Hey, that's all
I
the
do
more
urge
reason.
you. Yeah, I do
Heck
urge
yeah.
you go back and watch
Yes,
just the
yes.
next 10 minutes or so. And if you still feel dissatisfied with the review, that's fair. I mean, he liked the movie, so he's not going to care for my review either way.
And he's not going
And-
to care
and
for
that's-
our discussion
and
because
that's-
we pretty much
yeah,
trounce it.
but
But we
it's still-
appreciate the comment, though.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, really.
The one comment.
And I love the fact that you've got all our social media right there at the bottom of the screen, so no excuses to like, share,
that's right.
subscribe.
Yep.
Red Moon Book, Red Moon Tweet, Red Moon Pics, and Red Moon Productions on YouTube.
We
Here
have
for us.
revealed ourselves in many ways.
many
So
ways.
there's
You
no
can
here's
reach
the
out
thing.
to us
You
to
can
let
com-
us know how
it's
much you
biblical.
hate us.
You can completely 100% disagree with my review or opinion of a movie, and I'm okay with
We
that.
do from
Yeah.
time
We're,
to time.
we're all
Yeah.
about agreeing to
A
disagree.
lot of people will disagree with the review coming up. I've seen a lot of people that do not share the same feelings I have. So let's go ahead and listen in. Let's hear the review of Mortal Kombat. After a year of handicapped theaters, film release setbacks, and production closures, 2021 continues to show how badly audiences are itching to return to the movies. Warner Brothers, having already broken pandemic records with their release of Godzilla vs. Kong, have now beaten their own record with their current release of Mortal Kombat. Based on the video game franchise of the same name, Mortal Kombat, the film, has long been anticipated by fans of the games, with the last and only film adaptations of the games being 1995's Mortal Kombat and its sequel 1997's Mortal Kombat Annihilation, the first of which went on to become a cult classic, though neither film are regarded as particularly good. How then does the new release by director Simon McQuad hold up? The movie begins in Japan in the year 1617, with a depiction fans of the series are all too familiar with, the start of the feud between Sub-Zero and Scorpion. As Sub-Zero, still going by his given name of Bi-Han, played by Joe Taslim, attacks and kills Hanzo Hasashi, who will become Scorpion, played by Hiroyuki Sanada, and his family, though unbeknownst to Bi-Han, Hanzo's child has been hidden beneath the floorboards of his home, and is discovered by Raiden, played by Tadanobu Asano. The film then jumps forward to present day, introducing us to a new character created for the film, washed-up MMA fighter Cole Young, played by Louis Tan. Cole is being hunted by both Sub-Zero and Jax, played by Makad Brooks, working with Sonya Blade, Jessica McNamee. Sub-Zero working for Sorcerer Shang Tsung, portrayed by Chin Han, is seeking to kill all of Earthrealm's champions, chosen by Destiny and marked with the dragon symbol, the iconic Mortal Kombat logo. Jax and Sonya, on the other hand, are trying to locate other champions with the logo during an investigation of the Mortal Kombat tournament. Through a series of violent action and exposition, the defenders of Earthrealm are eventually gathered at Raiden's temple, where they learn the history of the Mortal Kombat tournament and what's at stake should the champions of Outworld win. While Shang Tsung continues to send enemies and assassins in an attempt to murder Earthrealm's champions before the tournament ever begins. Mortal Kombat has been the subject of mixed reviews, with most critics agreeing that its over-the-top, gory action is worthy of praise and true to the series, while the story and acting are non-existent. Fans of the franchise, however, have felt the film has delivered exactly what one should expect from a Mortal Kombat movie. I fall somewhere in between. Yes, the film lacks any substantial plot, and the acting and dialogue are horrendous, but the series has always been known for over-the-top and ridiculous plots, alongside campy dialogue and overacting. If you go into a Mortal Kombat film expecting Citizen Kane, you're in for an unpleasant surprise. This doesn't mean, however, the film has to be devoid of any form of entertaining story. To me, my biggest gripe is that much of Mortal Kombat's lore is put on the back burner to fit Cole into the world. The bits we get from the games are truly amazing and fun to watch, and I eagerly sat counting all the references to the franchise's entire history. But the film then goes on to underutilize fan favorites and iconic characters like Goro and Reptile, while trying to shoehorn Cole's story into another character's already established plotline, for the sake of having a relatable lead that could have rightfully gone to the likes of Kung Lao or Liu Kang, both of whom I also felt were underutilized. The film's dialogue and acting likewise feels a tad underwhelming in my opinion. I never expected Shakespeare, but I did expect ridiculous dialogue and scene chewing much like Tyrese Gibson and The Rock in the Fast and the Furious franchise. Instead, I felt the performances were just average and dialogue bland, with Josh Lawson as Kano being the only character and actor I found truly embracing the kitsch from the games. It's not that I didn't appreciate the over-the-top action and violence, however. Choreography directly matches the fight moves choreography from the games, displaying fatalities and brutalities, and even quoting lines such as "finish him" and "Kano wins." The film was almost there. My problem isn't that the film is bad, but that it doesn't embrace enough of the camp of the game series to make me feel okay with it being bad. Instead, outside of the brilliant fights, I feel the rest of the film's problem isn't that it's bad, but that it's lackluster. I give Mortal Kombat 2.5 out of 4 stars. Let the hate begin.
2.5 out of 4 stars?
I know.
That's it?
I know
How dare you?
the movie group that we're a part of on Facebook, a lot of people love this movie. So I know if any of them hear this review, they're all going to hate me.
I'm one of them.
Here's
3
the
out of
thing.
4 stars for Mortal Kombat. Override. I'm pulling it down.
That's only a half star higher
Wow.
than me. Here's the thing. Because everybody's like, oh, if you expected a good story, then you're just dumb because it's Mortal Kombat. It's like, I get that. I didn't expect a brilliant story or great acting.
Right.
I did expect some of the story from the game to be more present and for the bad acting to have a little bit more like scene chewing, like Kano. Like the guy who played Kano, he soon chewed the scenery like no other, and I loved it.
Yeah, I
The rest
agree.
of them were just flat.
Yeah.
It wasn't, Mortal Kombat, yes, the voice acting and dialogue in the games are terrible, but they know they're terrible, and it's on purpose, and it has that kitsch that is very campy and very, like, over the top on purpose, and the thing you love about it is that you're not supposed to, like, the emotions when someone's crying or when, like, you have an intimate moment, like in the original Mortal Kombat, and you were talking about between Johnny Cage and
Terrible.
Sonya. It's terrible. And you don't feel the emotions you're supposed to feel, but that's what you love about it, because it's like, okay, this is supposed to be sad,
But
and
I'm
it's
laughing.
great because
Yeah.
it's not
Yes.
sad.
Oh, yeah. Well, because there's just no emotional attachment. Like, they don't really take the time to truly build it. And again, I do think this film falls short just like the original did. We're not even going to talk about Annihilation. That was a joke, and that should have never been made. And thankfully, rightfully so, this one was made to recover from that. But
True.
I would agree that this film in and of itself suffers from the same part of the whole reboot of Mortal Kombat was that the 95 one was favored. It was one of just those like kind of gems, and you could forgive it for the time that it was released.
Everyone's biggest gripe with that was the fact that they leave out all the gore and fatalities. It's not Mortal Kombat because it is very neutered.
Yes.
but it did, I think, have the right tone of the characters and everything. And I
Absolutely.
feel like if you combine that movie with this one, took that tone and dialogue and acting and story and put all the blood and the choreography that was direct from the games in this movie and combine them, that to me is like the perfect Mortal Kombat movie.
Right. No, I would absolutely agree. And honestly, because I watched it in my childhood, I have fond memories of watching. It was kind of like the Power Rangers movie. It was like
That
once I
movie's-
got it.
That movie's terrible.
It is terrible, but man,
It's
I have an
fun.
ooze, man. I'm telling you, he's a
ooze.
bad villain. Okay, he's a bad dude.
I'd still go back and
okay,
rewatch
he's
that.
like corn pop.
That's another movie.
But-
It's another movie. Is it terrible and campy? Yes, but that's what you love about
But
it.
exactly, and I feel the same way about the 95 Mortal Kombat. I love the camp. I love the fact that it really was it was simply made to piggyback off the success of the video game series, which is completely okay, which is great. But at the same time, I think I'm more disappointed in that this one didn't have. It had the level of depth that could be here, but I don't know. It's just one of those simple situations where I'm like, I think they set the bar enough to whet your appetite, and then they ultimately are preparing for the next one to come and paving the way for a better sequel. They definitely tease a sequel at the end of this. No spoilers.
yeah.
We are going to spoil probably the movie, though, just
yeah.
to beware.
A
We're going to do a
bit,
deep
yeah.
dive. But I still feel as if this film at least cemented enough of the lore and the hype.
I feel like it gave
of-
you a little taste of it, and that's what my problem
True.
was. Is that they give you a taste, but I'm like, I want
And
I want
maybe-
the full
maybe-
serving,
maybe,
man.
well, here's the thing. Maybe it wasn't the right taste. Because to me, it was the right taste in the sense of the action, the camp. But it definitely faltered in parts. I thought
Yeah.
the Goro battle was unused.
He was
I thought that was weak.
Liu
I
Kang
thought-
and Kung Lao were both underutilized in my opinion. Liu Kang, like the original, like Liu Kang from the 1995 version, was way better than the Liu Kang in this movie.
I mean, the actor himself, which I don't know his name from the original film, but I thought he was even more over the top with the acting that made it feel more like a kung fu movie.
Yeah.
And which is kind of what it was. It's supposed to be the kind of a line between
The kung fu and the sci-fi aspect.
and yeah,
of it.
yeah. And so I feel like you get that way more from the original film. This one, I felt like it was trying to walk the line of seriousness where it didn't need to.
Yeah.
But then it also, the story for me was the main crux of the film, because I just felt like I didn't really care for the story of it being mainly about Sub-Zero and Scorpion. I liked it at the beginning, but it followed through the whole film, whereas the first film is mostly about Liu Kang and his destiny in all of this. And I enjoyed that storyline a lot better than this. I enjoyed the storyline of them receiving the invitation to be in the tournament, which is more of what the tournament is supposed to be.
Yes.
It's not supposed to
It's
be
not
a
the
tournament where they
secretive thing nobody
yes.
knows
well,
about.
not
Yeah.
just that, but they're not supposed to try to stop it before it even happens.
But,
in,
well, I
in
think
the
that was part of
original
the
film
plot,
and in the
though.
games, it's the tournament is something
I
they
liked
all
that
want.
aspect, though. I like the aspect of Shang Tsung, because in the original, he very much goes along with the idea of winning.
He's trying to
He
well,
cheats a little bit.
The story of the games and this movie is, in order for a realm to conquer another realm, they have to win 10 consecutive Mortal Kombat tournaments in a row. Outworld has won 9. This is
yeah.
their 10th, and that's the same story from the games and is in this. But you never actually get to the tournament in this because Shang Tsung he essentially tries to cheat and take out the champions beforehand. And I didn't personally mind that story as much either, but I never felt like any of the people he sent after them were a threat. And you had some Goro, Reptile, Melina are all pretty formidable foes from the games, and they were kind of a joke in this movie. Except for Sub-Zero is the only one they really made. Even Shang Tsung didn't feel threatening to me.
No.
Sub-Zero was the only villain in this movie that felt like a legitimate threat.
Yeah, and Goro's supposed to be his champion. Goro's
Yes.
supposed to be the one that you
Yeah,
have to
no,
fight right at the
yes.
end.
Well,
you know?
Goro is the champion of Outworld in the
prince,
games.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
yes,
but
so
he's pretty weak on Earth.
Well, no, I agree with that. I agree that I thought there were a lot of weak moments in this film. I particularly love the way the beginning started. I just felt like they were already building to kind of a climax of, this is going to be deeper into the lore. And then they do quickly divulge from that into a newer character. And I thought it was weak in terms of them setting him up, because I didn't think they did a very good job of making him appealing or attractive. Kind of the same way that I felt about Kung Lao and Liu Kang. I thought their character development was weak. I thought they made them like whiny little prissy men, not these tough warriors. I did.
Let me warm you.
When
he says it twice.
Yeah, when he tried to heal her
I was
wound.
just like, what in the heck?
But here's the thing. For someone who is supposed to be the badass who wins from Earth, I didn't think he portrayed that very well. I definitely think the Liu Kang from the first movie was I think they nailed the characters better in the first movie. I thought Sonya was good in this one. I didn't think I have a problem with her. I loved Kano better in this one.
Kano was like one of the only things about the movie I liked.
Yeah, everything I read about the film after I watched it was like Kano stole the show.
Yeah,
and that his character was
and
definitely everybody's favorite.
They definitely, obviously, tried to just do nothing but cater to the fans once the action started. In terms of we're gonna now, they had to figure out a way for them to transport to all these different locations that mimicked the same set pieces in the movies.
And that I was fine with.
Or the games, and I love that. I did. I thought that was fine because it was like, again, the right amount of camp. But for all the shortcomings, I just couldn't help but every single time something ridiculous happened or Kano said something ridiculous, I just laughed and I kept thinking, what is this movie that I'm watching? And then when I realized it's Mortal Kombat,
that's what I wanted to
But
feel.
I felt that. I did feel that throughout, and I actually felt like it did its job in terms of at least whetting my appetite enough to say, okay, we're going to take it a little more seriously, not too seriously, and we're getting ready for more. And I am. I'm ready to see now because I kind of made this argument about an hour ago or so before we started really diving deep. And I told y'all, I said I truly think that the way this film is set up, it can only go up from here. So that may be a bad thing.
Well, we'll see.
In terms of your first
see.
release, but I think that's a good thing in the sense that I'm at least anticipating what the next film is.
Okay.
And this one, at least, I was already going in with low expectations, but it fulfilled mine enough to be like, hey, that was fun. It was a fun movie.
See, I came out with, I hope the next one's better than this one. And if you're right, then I'll be happy.
Yep.
But I gave it 2. I kind of walked right down the middle there. But there were moments where I felt like you did, where I was just kind of like, this is hilarious. And the gore and the fight scenes were fantastic, which made it enjoyable, like entertaining. The first part of the movie kind of set up a better story, and I feel like they failed to follow through on the setup, but maybe that's coming later. And I don't know. I was too hung up on the original Liu Kang arc of the story, and now they made Cole the main
I agree.
character. I think he's
I do think that was a
and I think
poor
he's
choice.
just pointless. I think. Yeah.
Well,
Raiden,
I
I thought
think-
Raiden was terrible in this movie. I would take what's the guy's name from Highlander?
I forget his name too.
I would take his Raiden over this guy any day.
Again, I thought their casting in the first movie was
But
better.
again, you can't whitewash him, so I understand that. But
well, I don't think he's necessary. Is he Japanese or a Asian descent in
pretty
the
sure
games?
he-
He is. Okay, I don't remember from. I mean, they changed They went from
Yeah,
literally
yeah. No,
whitewashed
I'm-
American actors in the first
right,
game.
right.
Yeah.
But I do think that I don't know, with the fatalities and just how over the top they were. I mean, there really is. That's the only way this movie worked, was that it was completely over the top gore, and it was the
Well, it's the same thing with Fast and Furious. The only way those movies work is by going over
set
the top.
pieces,
Yeah.
the
Yes,
over
yeah.
the top
And
set
that's
pieces.
just what I wanted more of in this movie is more of that over the top. I felt like they just played it too safe, and I feel like that's something that production studios in Hollywood now continue to do. Is they know they have something that could be a huge franchise, but they're kind of afraid to go all in on it until they know it's going to be a hit. So they do it because I felt like the first Sonic, which I liked the first Sonic, but I felt it was the same thing. It was kind of a let's test the waters and we'll put these elements
see,
from the games people like, and then when we
Sonic,
know it's
I think
good.
had the right balance, because I feel like what the trouble now could be with that series is you throw Knuckles, you throw Tails in there, you could get ridiculous
Yeah.
right off the bat.
Yep.
This one, at least, it's already ridiculous to the point where if they start throwing in a plethora of characters for the sake of, okay, now we're going to have a
Well,
legitimate
then you could end up
tournament.
with Annihilation, because that's
That's
what
true.
Annihilation
Yeah.
did.
True.
We'll just start throwing in all these characters.
True, but at least now we've set up the idea of because I will say the one thing that the trailers and the lead up to this film had kind of boasted about was the Sub-Zero Scorpion duel, and I thought, okay, that would actually be a really good kickoff, and that was what they set up at the very beginning of the film, and I do think they let us down on that. in terms of trying to use. Whew, that
Yeah.
beer's
Well, yeah,
getting to me.
It's a good beer.
But trying to use Cole
Mm-hmm.
as this kind of young up and comer. We're trying to get him to be recognize his strength and what we need him to be. I understand the whole like we're trying to raise him to be who we need him to be, but I think that failed. I think they should have just focused less on a new character and more on the Scorpion Sub-Zero duel.
Well, even when you get to that duel at the end with Scorpion and Sub-Zero, they have to bring Cole in to join Scorpion for that to fight against. And I hated that. It's like, why can't
He
it just
stand
be
on his own.
Yeah. Why do you have to bring it? Because they had to make Cole the hero, and I'm like, he just felt like a useless character
Right.
to me.
I thought that I would agree. I mean, the fact that it started with Cole in the beginning and then that strength kind of summons Scorpion back from the Nether Realm, I thought that was amazing. And I just wanted to see them fight at that moment and him get his revenge and that be it. I agree. It's like I just wanted to see
in the
that.
games, do they call it hell in the games?
No, it's the
the
Nether
Nether
Realm.
Realm.
Yeah, I didn't.
And they did
understand why
call
they
it the
kept
Nether
saying,
Realm.
You summoned me from hell, or I'm back from hell.
Well, when
And I was
Raiden
like-
talks about it, he says his soul went to the Nether Realm, but then when he comes back, he said, "I've been summoned from hell," and
From
I'm just
hell,
like,
yeah, I
that
was
kind
just
of
like,
makes
I think
okay.
he's using it as like a small h. Hell,
Yeah.
like just from hell
Oh,
itself.
okay.
I think he's using it that way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just thought that was. This is one minor gripe. This was where they failed. I gave him leeway in the 95 version because, again, it's 95. And Annihilation, it's absolutely god-awful. But in this one, I was also a little disappointed. We have the ability now to make these suits and prosthetics look
Oh yeah.
absolutely fantastic. The way they
Yeah.
form fit and look almost like
Oh,
ingrained
yeah.
into.
They're,
I
like,
hate when they
falling off of-
move, and I
yes.
thought that looked cheap.
Looked like the
It
shredder
looked-
off.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's like they could have made. Well, Marvel does it. It's like you could have had something that was form fitting that doesn't move. I mean, in Captain America and the Winter Soldier,
Yes.
half the movie he has that metal like faceplate on, and it doesn't go nowhere.
No.
I mean,
and I'm just saying, like for the iconic characters that they are, Sub-Zero and Scorpion, they could have designed that to be a little bit
Yeah.
better.
look better.
Yeah.
Do better.
Now, the one thing that I did not appreciate, and I'll just touch on it quickly, was the lingo that they used from the games. There were moments where I thought that it fit, but I thought it was cool the first time Scorpion says, "Get over here," but then when they did it a second time later, I was just like, that's
Running
just
it
kind
into
of
the
stupid.
ground a
It
little
sounded
bit.
exactly the same. It's like let's push this button. And have the same sound effect over again. Let's just say, "Get over here."
You could push
get over
4
here.
of those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just like that was silly to me. And then
Yeah.
even Liu Kang saying, "Let me warm you," and he says it twice, exactly the same. I just thought, they were using sound bites over and over again. I just thought that was kind of
Well,
weird.
and
It's
yeah.
great to throw that kind of
Fan service.
that fan service, or that to throw that in there once, and it's not even in with an Asian accent. Like, I mean, through the whole movie, Scorpion speaks with a Japanese accent, and then he says, "Get over here," like he's an American from the trailer park.
Well, they had to
And-
match it with the game.
I know, but it was. I
Well, in
just
the
didn't-
game, he's Asian.
I know. I just didn't. I didn't like that. It's like make it sound like him
Yeah.
saying
I
it.
thought there were
Don't
moments
make it
where
sound like
it
it.
did, but
Yeah.
maybe the second time he said it.
I don't know. I don't know. I thought the way Kung Lao says "flawless victory,"
Yeah.
that was his voice, and it
wasn't the
fit-
game's
It
voice,
fit
yeah.
the scene, and
Yeah.
he only says it once. He doesn't say it every time he kills somebody.
I hated Shang Tsung. I thought they
Oh,
could have
yeah.
picked a way better Shang. I really do think
That
Luke
was
and
the
Shang
dad
Tsung
from Mulan.
Well,
That
it was also.
Yeah. What else has he done?
Isn't he in? Is he not the guy from? Oh gosh, is it the Dark Knight? Lao? Isn't he Dark Knight? Isn't that Lao?
The guy that he goes and gets in
he
China.
gets from China.
Like he goes
Is
and
it?
pulls it
Yeah, I
out.
think that is Lao. I
Shang
can't. He just had the
Tsung?
same face. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're just being
'Cause he
racist
actually-
now. You're trying to say
Well,
That's
no,
what I
I
was
was
getting ready to say. Wow, they all look
Of
alike.
course, there we go. Hey, I got my slanty eyes over here.
Now,
You do.
I
I
know
got
he
my
was
almond
definitely the
eyes.
dad in Mulan, and he's been in other things I've seen. But it's like, yeah, you pick this.
I ain't gonna
older
lie.
guy.
When,
I'm
when
gonna
I
look
saw
right
his
now.
hair, he looked like a woman, a masculine woman. I just didn't like his outfit, and
Yeah.
and I didn't like. Again, the Goro fight. They didn't even really build up to it. This forearm dude
He's
busts
super
out.
slow, by the way.
Yeah,
Like there's this one shot
Yeah.
where they go and get in the car,
Yeah.
and he's literally like, when the last time you saw him, he was like 10 feet away from the car, and you hear like you hear him walk like like 30 yards to get to the car, but he was
You're-
right there
you're-
a second ago.
You were correct. It's fun because I didn't even
It
have
is-
to
is
click.
it
I didn't even
loud?
have to click on the link as soon as I saw him without all the stuff on. I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's him. But yes,
Sweet.
he is loud.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ha!
Okay.
I was.
I wasn't
not.
sure, but then as soon as I saw him without all the stuff on, I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely.
I
him.
know I'm not racist.
Yep. He was also in
I don't have to prove
Skyscraper,
it.
Ghost in the Shell, Marco Polo,
So a lot of bad movies.
I-
Marco
all-
Polo, the show, that's not bad.
Contagion. I don't see that. He don't have him listed as Mulan.
He was her dad.
I just hated how Goro showed up in the shed, and then like busts out of it.
Yeah.
For the small, like literally a fight that I saw coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then all of a
What's
sudden,
he
like
doing in the shed?
his wife and a kid are sitting right there.
Apparently, there's
and I'm
something
like,
in there
they're
he
not
likes.
even more shocked about this.
Oh, I know.
You know, I'm just
Yeah.
like, dude, this
Yeah.
forearm dude, like you already think this guy is like in a tournament or
Yep.
I just wanted him to be a little bit more like I felt like JJ could have helped him out with
Yeah.
that scene because I felt like he would have added the great one-liner that just proved like, yeah, this isn't normal, and they're not going along with this. They are
Your,
shocked by it.
Your neighbor said he didn't see any babyalities or
Oh,
babyalities.
Fatalities, yes.
Hey, that's coming in the second one.
Right, I hope so.
Probably.
Hey, they had fatalities and brutalities. In it,
Bestialities.
so yeah.
See, and I wanted to see. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed. I loved Jax's fatality because
Mhm.
that's legitimate, but he was in the
Mhm.
pit zone, and I'm like, no, you got to uppercut somebody off of that and throw them into
Into
spikes.
spikes, yeah.
I mean, that's just iconic. You have to
Yep.
do it. So I thought they ruined. Like there were those kind of moments where I was like, I was expecting something different.
Right.
And then ultimately, I will say, you know, we already kind of joked about it with the production design, but I do think the CG was, you know, it wasn't terrible, but for this day and age, it just was not up to par. It wasn't the best.
Yep.
But I have to say, at the end of the day, I was much more entertained by this than Godzilla vs. Kong. Godzilla vs. Kong was milquetoast. I didn't like it at all. This one I was highly more entertained by. And again, I think a lot of it was because it touched on my love of what I grew up with the games, and they just embraced the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, okay, I got to give it the benefit
But
of the
see,
doubt.
that's where I disagree because I feel like they didn't embrace enough. of
Which,
the game. yeah.
Fair
But I
enough.
also
Yeah,
I
they
have
told
gone.
that line, but they didn't go all in.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah.
For you all, that makes complete sense.
I want to
but,
embrace it more.
I mean, just like Arrival, I understand it, and
Mhm.
you all don't.
Mhm.
And
Right.
that's the way of it.
Hmm.
Alrighty, guys. Tell us what you think about Mortal Kombat. Have you seen it? Did you watch it over the weekend? Were you part of making it the #1 movie at the box office? Did you go back to the theater?
I mean, that is.
Do you not have mask mandates? Are you free? Do you
I-
have
Are
liberty?
you shoulder to shoulder
That's right.
in a packed theater?
I hope one day I want to get. She's Frances McDormand's right. One day we need to get back there. I will say this that's impressive about Warner Brothers, since so far they're the only ones leading the way since they are releasing their movies in theaters. Is that they are proving people want to go back. I mean, they broke records with Godzilla vs. Kong. Now they've broken that record again with this movie.
Yep.
And if anything, yeah, I think it proves people are ready to go back.
Absolutely.
Quit pushing your damn movies back. Let them release, because if you let them release, people are going to go.
Let them fight.
Let them fight. That's who should have played Shang Tsung.
Yes.
Alrighty, guys. I think we're ready to move on to our one and only headline tonight. Let's roll that beautiful open.
Go ahead. I'll say what I have to say
All
afterwards.
Right, here we go. We're rolling it.
I wanted to say something just to give well, it's about our viewers. It's nothing to do with me. So really, you're taking away from him.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted
Got a
to
little
point
carried
out
away there.
the one comment that we got from the review. I do want to clarify, just to give him some props.
You'll be able to see it later because it will stream later. I promise. Was it about a policy dispute?
No.
Did it get taken down?
No. Yes,
Okay.
but that's not where I'm going either. Let me talk, man. Let me talk.
Okay.
The
Shut
guy that
up.
commented on the Chaos Walking review, he commented on the video that was only the review, so he didn't see the rest of the podcast.
Well, of course not.
So
yeah.
I didn't know that, so I wanted to go ahead and give him props and be like, okay, of course he doesn't know what we talked about afterwards because he
Yeah.
only watched the
Yeah.
review video.
If he had seen the full discussion, he would have changed.
Well, I
his
mean, I
mind.
didn't want to throw
Right,
shade
that's
at
right.
I didn't want to throw shade at the man if I'm wrong about what I thought.
It's
you know.
okay. His opinion.
Chaos Walking was a bad
I
movie.
wanted to let
Changed my
him
mind.
know I was just in case he watches this episode. I want him to know that I was wrong.
I'm about to run the headlines open again.
Go for it.
Just because I want to.
Go for it.
I'm sorry, a little freestyling. I just had a little jazzy.
We like to go right into that headline when we come out of that.
I like to change things up, like the Oscars changed things up this year.
Yeah.
Just every once in a while. The difference is I think we're more entertaining than the Oscars.
True.
We are.
Because that is our one and only topic, and we hope to entertain you on
We
this
have more
topic.
viewers.
Yeah, that's right. Every week we're getting closer and closer to that
So
9 million mark.
I mean, I kind of feel more confident in our abilities knowing that they dropped 58%.
Mm-hmm.
They only had close to 10 million viewers, which is abysmal.
Yep.
And they could say all they want. Well, because of COVID and no one saw. It's like, no. Let's look at the ratings next year when COVID's not a thing. We hope. But let's look at the ratings next year. And yes, will they be more than this year? I really hope they're more than this. Yish, I can't talk. The beer's getting to me now, too. I really hope next year's more than this year because of COVID. But at the same time, I guarantee you, while they may be more than this year, they're still not going to be more than last year.
No.
It's a steady decline,
of course
and it has
is.
been for years.
For all those who are raising arguments saying that this is because of COVID, it was pushed back, there weren't a lot of movies made available to the public. Nobody
saw them.
No. Regina King opened up with the.
Oh, God.
Oh gosh, go ahead.
No,
Sean.
I was just gonna point out, like, you see this face.
He was one of the better parts
see
of the show.
He was.
Shit, I can't see it. The look
Daniel
on,
Daniel
Kaluuya.
Kaluuya.
The look on Daniel Kaluuya's face.
That's about says it.
That's what it looks like when you find out you're in a Fox News article.
Yep. That's right. It sure is.
But yeah, his speech was great. Yeah,
it was fantastic. That was and that was kind of one of the highlights.
him
it was
and
right
his
at the beginning
mother
of the
were
show.
great. When he
Yep.
was like, "I thank my parents for having sex," she looked like she wanted to get up there and beat him right there.
Yeah.
I love her reaction of she's just
like, "What is he doing?"
She's looking and she goes, "What is he doing?"
Yes,
I love
Yes.
that.
I didn't see it when it first aired, but I had to watch it back
Oh,
because
it's
everybody was
fantastic.
talking about
his
it.
speech was great.
Yeah.
He said, "We'll get back to work on Tuesday. I'm gonna celebrate. We gotta celebrate life. My mom, my dad, they had sex.
Which allowed me to be here. Yeah,
it was great.
he said, "Thank you for having sex and allowing me to
And
be
you
here."
see
And
his,
it's like,
his sister just she's just like, "What is he doing?"
him and Glenn Close. Those were the
Oh,
things.
yeah.
Butt.
Those
Yeah.
were the things I
butt.
wanted. Those are the things I want to see from the Oscars.
Let's see. And the first one happened about 10 minutes in. That next one didn't happen until about 2.5 hours in.
And
Yeah.
everything in between was
It
garbage.
was garbage. Just trash.
Yep.
Low ratings. Obviously, they changed some things, and it was just
But
boring.
as you were saying, just from the very beginning, Regina King
Regina
set the
King
tone.
comes
Yeah.
out. She sets the tone of, they're trying to make this whole thing. This year was about being cinematic. They wanted to bring the movies to you
Yeah.
because you couldn't go to the theaters last year, which I
Instead, they
think
brought politics to me.
Yeah.
as they do,
all.
and
That's
the
all they
best-
know how to do.
Exactly. That's the way they run things in Hollywood, and that's the best they can
Yep.
do.
It's like you want to get away from watching national news. Like, I need a break, so I'm going to watch the Oscars. But then you
Actually,
get
that's
national
not,
news.
that's not
You
true. I'll watch a movie. Then the movies are woke. And then
Woke.
it's like, okay, I'm gonna watch, the show that's supposed to promote these woke movies. Oh, they're woke
woke.
too. Imagine
Well,
that.
because it's no longer about it's no longer about the history of film and which film is the best of the year. It's about which films have the best message and which films have the most diverse crew or members.
Almost
or
every single
and-
nominee that
Yeah.
won for a short documentary or a live action short had a political message to it. The people get up there who are never going to win another film in their life.
Did my octopus teacher win?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. He
Well, yeah,
did.
because he
I was just wondering.
He fingered
he
an
did- yeah,
octopus right
yeah.
there. On
I,
the
I was trying to think of a way to say it less crude, but there's
Yeah.
really no. He
Hey,
fingered an octopus
look,
and won an Oscar.
Now
for
you have
it.
2 movies to
Yeah.
watch. You can watch Freddy Got Fingered or Octopus.
I was thinking Shape of Water or
that's
Oh,
yeah, there
yes.
you go.
apparently if you do
Sex
weird
with
things
aquatic
with
animals.
Is he
yeah,
in
yes.
that, is
with
he in
aquatic
that-
animals and that
Is he in that phylum? Is he in that
Apparently.
species? I don't know.
If
he's
you
an
do weird
octopus.
things with aquatic animals, you win Oscars.
Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't have tentacles, so
I mean, I don't know if he's the
if
Well,
he
same.
wait,
did,
wait,
it would
what
have
was
been
that? She
tentacle
was like-
porn.
yeah,
And
Oh,
Octavia
yeah.
Spencer's just like,
yeah. It's like, yeah.
of that.
oh my god.
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
a
it was
terrible
bad.
movie.
Worst
Bad.
best picture of the last 10
You're
years.
the worst best picture.
Oh, actually, that goes to Moonlight.
well, and for the most part, I mean, to be fair, like other than
I'd
the
rather
politics,
watch 2 guys have sex than a woman and a fish. So I'm gonna give it to Moonlight out of those 2. I'm just saying.
I agree.
I'd rather watch a tug on the beach.
But outside of all that,
Ben.
the Oscars, like besides the 2 entertaining points and all the politics, the rest was just milquetoast, bland,
Yeah.
uninteresting,
Yeah.
and there was nothing about it
What
that
was with
honored
the order?
film.
The order, they changed the order, and
Yeah.
that made me think for sure.
That's why they did
because
it.
they gave because they moved the actor to the end. I thought for sure
Chadwick
That is,
Boseman's going to get
they
it.
said that's exactly why they did it, because they thought he was sure to win, and then he didn't win, and it ruined their. And I was like, well, that's why you don't make plans about what you think might happen.
Exactly.
Because they thought it would be nice.
The whole end of the show would be the crescendo. It would be Chadwick Boseman.
Well, what the
They
hell
thought
were
it would
they
be a
gonna
way
do?
to
I mean, were
honor
they going to
him.
have his family come up there?
Well, usually, yes. Usually a family member
I don't even
accepts
think
on
they
their
showed
behalf.
his family though. They just
I
showed a
don't know.
picture.
Well,
of
here's the
him.
I
thing.
just know when it was over, they said Anthony Hopkins wins. The Academy accepts
Well, he
the
wasn't
award on his
there.
behalf. Show's over.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
I mean, it
and
was
part
like,
of that
show's
yeah,
over.
Part
was-
of that
it was
it was
disjoining.
15 minutes over already, which
Yep.
is weird because they didn't show any of the songs. They played those in the pre-show.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
who the hell watches that? And then they also played like movie clips for, I think, animated feature, the acting categories, and like even Best Picture.
They didn't.
Yeah.
They showed Best Picture.
Yeah.
But that was it.
That was it.
Most of the other, and here's the thing.
Well,
at
then
the
they
very
sped through the in
beginning-
memoriam.
Mhm.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there. First off, I thought when I first started, and they started out with supporting actor, and Daniel Kaluuya wins, and of course he gives that speech. It was entertaining, and I actually started to notice a trend with the first 3 or 4 that, oh, they're just letting them speak. They're not going to actually push them off the stage. And I thought, okay, this is kind of respectful until you get the garbage categories up there that nobody cares about.
And they won't
Yeah.
shut
and
up.
They won't shut
Yeah.
up, and
We
they're
don't
thanking
care about
people
your
that we
documentary.
don't know.
We don't care
and
about
they're-
the makeup.
Right, or the cause that they have that they're now hoping that everybody and their mother goes out and joins tomorrow, and nobody's going to remember a year from now. And yet here it is in a situation of, okay, we need to move this show along, but you don't have anything entertaining. We get to the butt moment with Glenn Close, where she
Where she
nails a
schools
song and
everybody.
she schools
Yeah,
people
she
for
teaches
knowing her
them
culture.
about
Yes.
having stereotype, pretty
Right.
much, because they all thought she wasn't going to know anything about what they did.
And I thought it was funny because Keith, Nathan, our good buddy Nathan, who's been on the show before, and I were watching here at home, and we all we all thought the same exact thing after this moment aired. And it was, here you have 2 young people. It was Andra Day and Daniel Kaluuya, who are too cool for school. They're sitting there chilling, and they're, of course, saying some negative things as to, of course, that song didn't win. Because the whole idea of the contest
Andrew
was...
Days it wasn't even. Of course, it wasn't ever nominated. They wouldn't nominate a black musician's song.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's freaking Prince.
Yes.
I don't know any
And then
other...
they had to bleep out half of what she said.
Yes,
well, of
they
course.
did.
Yeah.
They did.
So not only was she just vulgar, she was just downright
And
rude and completely
wrong.
just wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you go to Daniel Kaluuya, who wasn't nearly as bad as her, not disrespectful in the same way.
Yeah.
But again, oh, he's just laid back. He's got his Oscar. He's just chilling. And again, it's like, oh, I got to be cool and entertaining, or think that I'm being cool. And then you have Glenn Close, a true upstanding person who's just there to actually be a true entertainer.
And
she actually goes
knows
off
and loves the
knows-
craft.
She
Yeah.
knows and loves the craft enough to know the history and repeat it and school everybody in the room of like, no, I know what this is from. It's from Spike Lee's film. Y'all need to check it out.
What
It
year?
wasn't
She knew the
nominated.
year? She knew
the
that it didn't
year?
win.
And I'm like, here's
And then
the
she
difference.
mocks Andra Day by using the same expletives that she used. They had to bleep her out. And she's like, it's probably because of this racist blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, that's hilarious. She just flat out mocked everything.
And I think it just goes to prove that the culture in and of itself, again, culture is downstream from politics, but it is this corrosive and toxic behavior that's going on that's eroding away the history of what film is. I mean, here we are, the 93rd Oscars, and you have these 2 people who represent new up-and-comers. And they just shrug off anything that has happened in the past as if, well, that doesn't matter anymore. We're the new. We're coming in. And look, I understand that from an artistic perspective on the screen and in your art form. But when you're in a position in that moment, it's always been that the Academy was supposed to be everybody dons their best. You come together because this is the culmination of our craft from all different spectrums and all different
Well, and it's-
lifestyles come together to be honored.
And it's meant to,
and they,
yes,
they
honor.
just completely...
Well, there wasn't honor.
There
And
wasn't.
There wasn't reverence for
it's
the.
meant to
for-
honor the best,
Right,
And it's
right.
not. Yeah.
No.
And that's I wanted to get into just what with like this, going back to what happened with the Chadwick Boseman and Anthony Hopkins Best Actor win, because even Chadwick Boseman's family has come out and said some things about that I really respected. And when it happened, a lot of people were mad. They felt Chadwick Boseman got snubbed. Some people said it was racist, which it's not
It
racist.
always is.
Yeah, of course.
Other people said that they didn't think it was racist or wrong. They just were upset with the way the Academy handled it, which I do agree with. The putting him last because you thought he was going to win, and then he didn't. That
It
was
doesn't
a
matter what
poor
award they
choice.
put last.
Yeah.
They never win.
Yeah.
They always cut away at the last minute, and everybody's like, that was wrong.
But
should have done that.
The next day, when Anthony Hopkins found out he won, he was gracious, said thank you. I truly was not expecting to win, which he wasn't, because everybody thought Chadwick Boseman would
Yep.
win. He did give Chadwick Boseman a nod and say, I want to dedicate, he mentioned that him and the fact that he was nominated. And then Chadwick Boseman's family even came out, and what I respect most about them was that they straight up said that Chadwick Boseman would not have cared that Anthony Hopkins won. They said that they think he would have congratulated Anthony Hopkins, and they, just like they think Anthony Hopkins would have congratulated Chadwick Boseman had Chadwick Boseman won.
Yeah.
And they said that to Chadwick Boseman, the Oscars weren't. He said he wouldn't have been that stressed about it because he said they're no longer about the accomplishment. He said that's what they should be about. He said it's an accomplishment to win an Oscar, but now these days it's a campaign.
Wow.
And because that's what Chadwick Boseman's brother said that Chadwick Boseman had told them in the past, that they are now a campaign instead of an accomplishment
That's
when
right.
it should be an accomplishment.
That's
It's like,
right.
and if he truly said that, as his brother says, I really respect that because I agree with him. That is true. They are no longer
because
an
I think
accomplishment.
if you
They are a
ask
campaign.
any decent person, and I think that's why we're upset, because again, we've been fans of film all our lives, and as we've gotten older, our love of film just grows deeper with each year. And it's like, I think for us, no, I'm not going to be pretentious and say that, we know our stuff better. I mean, look, there's tons of classic films I haven't seen and I still want to see, and tons that I haven't viewed. But at the same time, it used to mean something when you said something was an Oscar winner or someone was an Oscar winner. And I think, there is this cynicism with us because we followed it for so long and for several years now, to where it's a sideshow of people who don't really deserve to be there, but they get this pat on the back as, oh, well, you're saying the right message and you have the right position right now, so we want to put that on a platform, and this is a way to do it. And I just think that lessens the integrity and the value of what an Oscar means in the overall ceremony. And it's sad that it's a 93-year tradition that just keeps eroding away with these attitudes who want to say, well, those 93 years don't matter. It just matters about what's going on right now and where we go in the future. And to that regard, fine, so be it. But the more you pursue that, the more you are losing the overall essence of what it means to win this award, and most people don't care, and so it's like, no, I'm not saddened by 9 million people watching, which is just god awful. I mean, that's really, really bad.
That is.
For a nationally televised, anything, that's
Ceremony, yeah.
That's
I mean, just
god awful. I mean, that's like Sunday night watching Quantico on
Well, it's like-
ABC. I mean, I'm just saying.
yeah. Look at the
And
Oscars.
she had to marry a freaking Jonas brother to get noticed.
Look at the Oscars of the 90s and how many people watched those award shows and films like Forrest Gump and Saving Private Ryan win, and
Yes.
even in the early 2000s with Return of the King. And then you look at the movies.
Timeless
You look at the
classics.
movies nominated now, and they're all the Oscars. It's like
It's really
they
just been within the last 10 years.
they pick movies that they feel like should be Oscar worthy based on their message. It's like, okay, this is an Oscar contender, even if it's. And I'm not saying that the Best Picture has to be the most popular movie of the year, like Forrest Gump or Saving Private Ryan, but it's like they don't even look at those type of movies anymore unless they have that message or what their idea of Oscar worthy is. And Oscar worthiness isn't something that the Academy decides upon. It's what is the best of that year, flat
Yes,
out, the best.
absolutely, and it's lost that touch because now it's no longer about that. And they've done so themselves, and they've shot themselves in the foot. And a lot of people out there I know would say, well, who cares? Of course, it's a bunch of rich celebrities just patting themselves on the back.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we would agree. But that's part of the problem, is it used to be that they were supposed to come down to earth. They were supposed to be on this night. Yeah, they're dressed in their best. They are celebrities. But they were supposed to honor this in such a way that it was like, no, they're being awarded because they did take that step in going into another person's shoes
one of
and knowing the common man.
Yeah. One of the reasons that I really liked Frances McDormand's speech is just because she says, like, this is work and I like work. And
Yeah.
I appreciated that because you're admitting that being an actor or an actress is a job. and your job is to, like Brandon, you've said it 1,000 times on the show. Their job is to entertain us.
Yeah.
And it's great that they finally have an award that if they've entertained well enough, they get an award for it. Not only do they get millions of dollars, they get an award. But it's like for her to stand up there and finally say, yeah, this is telling these stories and doing this. This is work, and I like work. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you for the award.
Well, and
I appreciate that. That's humble.
Yeah.
And that's admitting that you're just human. And I felt like this was maybe one of the first Academy Awards, as lackluster as it was, where I felt like there was that a couple years ago when they went into the movie theater next door
It was a
and
shtick,
did all that
yeah.
crap.
It
That
was
was
a-
terrible. That was
hokey
not
and-
them trying to
Well,
relate to the common man.
Every
I
now
felt like
and
this
then-
one did a little bit more, but it did it in such a way that took away from that reverence and that honor and that glamour of the Academy Awards.
Every now and then we still get a few of the ones that do seem humble and honest.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman's speech for Darkest Hour, I thought was good. J.K. Simmons for Whiplash was very humble. I love that.
Hell, even Brie Larson, when she went for Room,
but before
she got
before the fame
Yeah.
went to her head,
Yeah.
like her speech for Room was amazing. And even the ones like older, like if you look at like some of the old guard, even
Cuba Gooding Jr.
yeah, even when you look at like Jack Nicholson or George Clooney, who always seemed full of themselves, they always still seemed like they were full of themselves and fun, but they never acted like they were better than anyone else. It's like, yeah, George Clooney loves George Clooney, but he still seems like a guy I could get a beer with.
Well, and
A
not
lot of
only
these
that, but they-
actors now, though, it's like not only are they full of themselves, but they act like and
They
believe
are on a
they're better.
pedestal.
They're like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
better than you because I'm more aware than you.
Yeah, well, exactly. Because I would not be in this kind of spotlight and be given this attention in this platform if I wasn't. And that's the wrong thing. Is it's like, no, the reason you make the millions of dollars, the reason you even are given a chance to, I mean, it really is coming down to the fact that it is the social media age. And it's like back when we didn't hear every single thought that came out of their minds, or you weren't persecuted or even held up and revered for your thoughts on everything you posted. It's the fact that, we're living in an age where they think that every word they say is gold and that it should be uplifted because they now are the artist of the day. And it's like, it's like you go back to the older stars, and even if they were pompous and they were jerks, and you would hear some of the stories. In fact, that was kind of the one part of Mank that I liked, was his acceptance speech at the end and kind of him throwing jabs. But it was in a very, tasteful way. It was a nice, okay, I'm professionally, I'm going to work with you. But at the same time, it's like, I can respect you because of the
Yeah, we
craft.
could stand up on stage
Yep.
and make jokes about how Harvey Weinstein's sexually assaulting people
Yeah.
until he gets caught and we
That's right. I actually, he did it to somebody I knew, but I was in his movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got an Academy Award for it. It's great.
Great guy.
But hey, we won't remember those days. Let's
No,
move on
no.
because, hey, #me too.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of double standard that I think is just so everybody's sick of, and why Hollywood just continues. It's so funny because, again, popcorn flicks or not, like Martin Scorsese says, and I would consider him someone who, it's like, yeah, it wasn't a slap in the face to them. People took it that way. We did here on the show. We lashed out at him. But at the same time, it's like, no, I like that. Who doesn't like going to a theme park? But at the same time, he still makes his films. And I think you look at him and you look at Steven Spielberg, you look at Tarantino, you look at those who, when they talk, they've studied the craft. They know movies inside and out. They love this medium, and they love to tell stories to the extent that they actually can speak with some reverence, but they never do. Like you said, John, they're humble.
Yeah.
They speak to it in such a way that it's like, no, this is work, but I love it just like any professional would, and I want to try to show up and do my best for the next generation. Except now you have people who are coming along, being rewarded, and I'm sorry, but Hollywood's doing it to themselves. They're awarding people who, that's why, sadly, we do have to turn to those who are like the supporting actress from Minari. She was very gracious.
Yes. Yeah.
And she was, of course, she was just like, I watched this on my TV
Well, she
from
said
in Korea.
In her country, she
Yeah.
was afraid to watch
it.
things like
because it was from America,
Yeah.
and it was banned. And yet here she is on the stage accepting this high honor, and it's like, it's sad that Hollywood understands it from that perspective, that you have to go that far away
to understand how it can be so humbly and graciously accepted.
You say Hollywood understands, but they really don't.
No.
They say they
but,
do.
But here's the thing. No, they go out of their way to say, see, we're still not out of touch.
Yeah.
We understand and we want to support these people. But at the same time, we're going to put down this whole class of people or this whole group to uphold this message because we think that right now that's what we've got to speak on because we're righteous and we have to uphold that. And it's like, no. The reason old movies that won the Oscars before are timeless classics, and yeah, there's hit and misses. We did that last summer.
We discovered a lot of them.
Exactly. And yet, at the same time, what was always the point of contention was watching others and saying, no, that was really the best picture. And so, of course, the Academy can get it wrong, but it's just that they're more consistently now getting it wrong. And I'm just like everybody else out there. I'm beginning to care less and less each year, which is sad.
Yeah. Well, I told you guys were blowing up my phone, and I was just like, I mean, it was 9 o'clock, and I was just like, I haven't seen 1 second of it. I mean, we had other things.
And your life was
you
ending.
didn't miss
I'm
anything.
gonna be honest with you. It wasn't until like that evening that my wife was just like, "So what are you all doing for the Oscars?" And I was just like,
It's on now.
I forgot the Oscars was tonight. I mean, there was really no excitement about watching it or even chiming in with you guys about it. Until 9 o'clock rolled around and I got a chance to sit down and actually start to watch. I was like, I didn't really feel like I
didn't make it here till like it was halfway over. I was still on my way. I was watching it on my way home, but I was on my way home from Chicago at the time, and it was one of those things where like, because we were trying to get home before then, not specifically for the Oscars. We just expected to be home before then anyways. So my sister was like, I'm really sorry. And because I was watching my phone, it's like, it's okay. There's nothing, like, it's literally like,
happening.
I'm watching it on my phone and it's like, there's nothing right now that I miss.
No, it's sad because that's exactly what's happened with the show.
Yeah.
And that's what it's become.
Well, speaking about, because we talked about pretty much everything else at this point, but talking about honoring, the past and past movies and the best of the pictures. When we talk about honoring the past, that includes those who work in the industry that make the movies possible, who pass on and are no longer with us, and we honor them for what they accomplished in the past, not give them 2 seconds. Oh, got to get to the next one. The show's we're 15 minutes over, so let's rush through the in memoriam with this god-awful music.
They slowed it down for some.
In one part,
Yeah.
And even for the ending.
The bigger names, they did slow it down. But I still thought,
But
this
that's
is
the side. Like
garbage.
they literally used to spend the same amount of time. The music was awful, atrocious. I don't know who picked that music.
peppy,
It was
jazz kind of music.
I even
What was it?
Nathan pegged it. It was Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Apparently was the artist who sang the song, but it was like it just sounded happy and peppy, and I'm just like, I don't know what your all's aim here or your goal is, but the fact that this is kind of an upbeat song.
I think they were using Photo Magico.
I think so
because
too.
It does the speed of the slideshow with the music you're playing.
Yeah.
So I think they used that fast music and it was making.
I
told
told Keith, I said they no doubt push this to the end of the show, and I guarantee you they have some kind of way in which they have different versions, and they're like, okay, we're going over.
Yeah.
Throw in the 3-minute version, throw in the 5-minute version.
Yeah.
I guarantee you they do, and it's disrespectful for those who, like you said, the problem and what people don't understand about the Academy Awards is when you're talking about the Academy and you're talking about thousands of members, you only see maybe 1,000 of those people represented on screen. The majority of the people are the ones behind the scenes. And if you want to talk about Tom Cruise's rant over I forget when it happened, like last fall.
He has one every year.
Of course. But it's like, the fact is he's sitting here talking about going on his rant about COVID restrictions and obviously being Tom Cruise. But I'm just sitting here and it's like, the fact is like, he's right in the extent that, there are people who depend on these jobs, and their whole idea was to, hey, these are the ones who are really hurting when movies aren't being made. It's not the fat cats who are on screen or
It's
who
not
are
the producers
the
or the
above,
actors.
the above the line
Yeah.
cast that's getting the majority of the money. It's the mom and pops that are trying to make a living, and they love being on set on a film. But at the end of the day, it's like they don't get awards. They get awards when they realize that the manager or the boss of their studio goes up and accepts it for all of them who worked on it.
Yeah.
That's their claim to fame. And I just think at the end of the day, you got to remember that. And of course, Hollywood would do themselves justice if they did. And sadly, in that in memoriam, they just completely completely ramrodded everybody who was involved in that and who passed last year, and they just completely paid disrespect to him. Just
gave
absolutely
maybe
awful.
an extra second or two for Sean Connery and Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
Yep.
And maybe one other. They slowed it down once.
They had it slow in the
Christopher
beginning,
Plummer,
sped it up.
Christopher Plummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was all the known ones.
Yeah.
And I'm
All-
like,
all
well,
the
if they're
well-known
known,
ones.
then we already knew they passed.
Yeah.
Like, the idea is to represent anyone who
There
you
were a
didn't
few
know.
that I knew, but I didn't realize they'd passed because they weren't big names. Like Michael Apted, who directed Voyage of the Dawn Treader, Narnia. I didn't know he died, but then I saw his name on there, and I was like, oh, I actually know who he is, and I didn't realize he had passed because he's not a well-known director.
Yeah.
And there are names like that, like Wolf, the sound mixer for Nomadland,
Yeah.
who died. That's why Frances
She
McDormand
made that-
howled during
Yeah,
that speech,
for Wolf.
and nobody knew why she howled, but it's because of
Because it's Francis McDormand.
Yeah.
I just thought that's because
but no,
that's what she
it
does.
was a tribute to their sound mixer who died and who was in the in memoriam, but nobody knew he was in the in
Yeah.
memoriam
Yeah.
because his name went by so fast you didn't know.
Yeah, and again, I thought the whole pacing of the show was off. Apparently, it was 3 rookie producers. One of them, Steven Soderbergh, is a producer.
Well,
Yeah.
first of all, Steven
So,
Soderbergh's terrible at
yeah.
every. It's like he shouldn't be producing anything.
Well, I mean, the moment that I saw director like halfway through the show, and I kind of got that one because I was like, oh, they're throwing out some big ones, just like with supporting actor, throughout the show to kind of
Yeah.
move it,
Yeah.
keep you interested. But at the same time, when they threw Best Picture in before Best Actress and Actor,
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell are they doing?
Yeah.
Why? And then the other thing to kind of honor
I bet he
the
doesn't
roles.
produce the next one.
Well, I hope not, because that was the rating should.
That was
they
the
don't
worst
deserve.
Oscars
Whoever
ever.
predicted Chadwick Boseman winning, they don't have a job.
Nope, that was a
Well,
bad
here's the thing.
prediction.
Everybody thought that because he won.
Everybody
all
was
the
shocked.
other.
I did too.
That was by far the biggest upset of
He
the
won
night.
the Screen
Yeah.
Actors
Yeah.
Guild. I think he didn't win the BAFTA. I think actually Anthony Hopkins did win that one. But
Yes,
the
he did.
the Golden Globe
and the SAG
Boseman won.
Awards.
Yeah,
The SAG one usually is what proves
the
it.
indicator. Yeah.
All right, we gotta move on because we're getting late and long in the tooth, and we have not
Yeah.
even brought up
Mm.
who won.
Mm.
We tallied it up, guys,
Mm.
and it was off by 1 point between each of us.
Yep. Who won? Go ahead.
I came in last with the least amount. Oh, shut up.
I wasn't surprised. I mean, you picked Judas and the Black Messiah.
I know, and that was I could have honestly, I could have probably. Well, I couldn't have won with that one. I could have won with that and one other one. But no, I came in last with 11. Sean came in second with 12, and Keith won with 13.
Which is my lucky number. So.
Oh wow, there you go. All
Which I
right,
thought was funny because when I saw the 13 points, I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
I'll try to
This
I don't
elevator
know.
doesn't go to 13.
I'll try to post the full graph
Yeah.
online somewhere. I don't know who cares about a spreadsheet.
I think
know we have one viewer that cares about spreadsheets.
Yes, I think what happened with Brandon was he was trying to anticipate too much how woke the Oscars would go.
Yes, I was. That's why I picked Andra Day, Judas and the Black
Hey,
Messiah.
I did it with Carrie
Just
Mulligan.
saying.
That's why I picked her because I was like,
Yeah.
oh, they're gonna go
well,
for that
and,
one.
and Promising
so-
Young Woman did win original screenplay, and that
They
was the
did.
one category we were all different picks on.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we were all different picks on Best Actress. I picked
Frances McDormand won, and none of
and
us saw
I
it.
thought
No.
Viola Davis would
She
win.
now she's now
And I think-
tied
I
with
forget
Meryl
who I
Streep
picked.
as the living actress with most awards. Katharine Hepburn is still the actress with the most Academy Awards. 4, all of them for Best Actress. Now Frances McDormand has 3 for Best Actress, and I was about to say Helen Mirren. Wrong.
and producer.
Well, she has 1 for producer, but that's her 4th one.
Right.
So technically, she has more than Meryl Streep, but
But
they're
Meryl
not all for,
Streep's-
all 3 of Meryl Streep's are for acting,
Right.
but 2 of them are Best Actress, 1 supporting. So it's kind of like Frances McDormand has 1 leg up because all 3 of hers are Best Actress, and all 4 of Katharine Hepburn's are Best Actress. Meryl Streep has 2 Best Actress and a Best Supporting, so she's not as good.
Oh,
Not
I
wow.
didn't clarify.
Meryl.
All right,
Just saying,
guys.
Wow.
Frances McDormand takes the cake.
All right, guys. I think we've talked
Better speeches too.
enough
Yes,
Oscars.
we
We
have.
were way shorter than the actual show. We hope we were more entertaining.
Yeah.
Probably not, because nobody else out there, if you weren't part of that 9 million crew, you didn't care.
We were,
and
I still
hopefully
didn't care.
next week we can put that behind us.
Wow.
The
Well,
COVID Oscars are done.
that sums up
And
the
we can just
Oscars.
talk about all those popcorn flicks and all the great blockbusters that are to come and get back to entertaining. Okay, guys? But we're going to now move on to, yes, our relationship segment.
Let me tell you about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees and the moon up above and a thing called
I didn't do it this week.
Oh.
I always sing that part, but I didn't do it.
Apparently, our YouTube feed
It
got,
did. It did.
got,
go-
it got suspended for a policy violation.
Yeah.
Just
oh
briefly.
no,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I said
We
earlier.
saw it. It's
But here's
still
the
on.
thing.
It was
it's just
dur-
during the review.
Yes.
Just went out
Because
for a
our
second.
review got suspended earlier, and look, guys, this is so stupid about YouTube. So I got to actually go on there and submit dispute against the copyright claim and say it is fair use. It's a review of an artistic, depiction. It's
Right.
fine,
And they'll okay.
and they always okay it. They always are like, okay, you're good.
It's just really annoying.
It's annoying that they
they-
block it
Yeah.
ahead of time, and then it's like I got to go through the dispute to begin with
Yep.
to say, hey, I legally can do this. You can't
because our show
block my video.
Our show was
can.
only down during that portion. It came back like they all
Yeah,
Neil
they
and
popped right
some
back
of our
up.
other reviews say, "Oh, it came
Yeah.
back on." It is because of the review.
So believe it or not, we will have the review post. It's already posted individually on our
Yeah.
website. You may not be able to access it. However,
double check.
I will dispute the claim. It will be available, and I will post it on Facebook as well for anybody who wants to see our Mortal Kombat review because it is a bigger movie.
Reviews are fair use. YouTube knows that, and they always give it back
They
to
know
us
about
after.
free speech.
It's
They
just-
do.
but They block that.
Well,
so.
they try.
Yeah.
They try to knock the little man down because, well, hey,
It's ridiculous. We have to do this, but
thanks, Google. All right.
What's our
Let's-
relationship
Let's talk
segment?
about something that's going to make us happy and sad.
Okay.
We've never talked about it, I think, on here before to a great extent. We've, I think, brought it up in passing. But, yeah, for our relationship topic, I wanted to bring up, actually, Sean, it was you who brought up the topic.
Well, yeah, it's just because
We didn't have anything.
we didn't have anything. And there's
what happens
recent,
when you have to murder your dog?
recent events?
Yeah.
I was a little bit more
It's
hot.
manslaughter.
Yeah,
I didn't put the needle in his arm.
So then.
but no, not murder. But when you have to depart with a beloved animal.
Well, it wasn't just
That's true.
depart. I thought it was just about man's best friend in general and what
Yeah.
they mean to you.
Yeah.
It could be the loss of man's best friend, which
Yeah.
hurts.
Okay, well, I was under the understanding we were talking about when we lose them.
Yeah.
But we can talk about
We
all
actually-
of it.
we
We
can
kind of
do that.
agreed that we've all been through that.
We have.
So.
And
have.
sadly, Sean, more recently, you have been.
Mm-hmm.
This past weekend, you lost your pet. Your
Yeah,
loved
we had to have our 13-year-old golden retriever Cooper. We had to let him go. I hate to say put down because I didn't put him down, but we did.
you had
but
him put to sleep.
we had
you
him put
know.
to sleep.
I think that's the
Yeah.
nice term for put
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
He
even
was,
though he's not sleeping.
He was suffering and he was old and it was yeah.
I mean, the same thing with
I
my
definitely,
Kobe.
when I die, Keith,
Yeah.
I want you to do my eulogy.
I'm going
Yeah.
to
Please.
because everybody wants to. Like,
gonna
he
be
was such
fantastic.
a great man, and I would be like, listen, I know the real Brandon.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he wasn't great.
He pooped off the side of a boat. We got the footage right here.
Yes.
All right. I'm
Yes.
sorry, Sean.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No, it's
I'm
fine. It's fine. The fact that we can laugh about this is actually good.
sorry. Well, I was gonna say I
It
want
sho-
to.
well, I say this.
I don't
want to
bring it down too
It
much.
shows our relationship
Yeah.
that we can laugh about this.
True.
I would punch somebody else.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
So anyway, we had to have him put down. His legs were crippled, and he was blind and deaf, and he developed an infection, and they couldn't see him until Monday. And we just he was struggling to breathe. So we made the decision early Saturday morning to go ahead and kind of tell him goodbye. And I think I even actually thanked him. For being there for us.
Yeah,
'cause,
being loyal.
Yeah.
He was me and Amelia's first thing that we took care of. We had him before our kids were born, and he was there wagging his tail when we came home from the hospital with both babies, and he laid on the floor and sniffed them and watched over them, and so he's
So you said
so-
sniff, and I'm thinking of Taylor Lautner
oh yeah.
from Take
Have
a Whiff.
Take a whiff.
Take a whiff.
He took a
Sorry.
whiff. He imprinted on them, and but yeah, the dog had been very loyal and with our family for a long time, and so it was a very difficult decision. But he's better off now, and he's buried in my backyard. So
Well, and you told me too. You said that I know that when you were taking him to put him to sleep,
yeah,
that you had told me you sat back there in the van, and you said normally when he went in the car that he was always up alert. And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
most dogs, happy. And you
Yeah.
said it was kind of another sign of him
He was
knowing
ready.
he was ready to
it's
go.
really
He
weird
was
because
tired.
you think it's a dog, it's an animal, they don't know, or
Yeah.
they don't feel the same or whatever. But his, normally when you get him up in the van or anywhere to go for a ride, he's very anxious and nervous, and you want him to sit down because his legs are bad, but he stands up and pants and paces
yeah.
around in the back, and he just climbed up in there and laid down, and I got down on my knees like face to face with him and rubbed his head and thanked him for being a good dog and for being there for us, and I said I was sorry, and because I knew what we were about to do, and
Right.
I don't know why I had to apologize to a dog, but I felt like and he, the look on his face, which was kind of terrible because his face was swollen up from this infection he had, but I felt like he looked at me as if to say it's all right, I'm ready,
Right.
and so that helped
Yeah.
a lot. But my wife went and took him. I felt like he was her dog, and that if anybody he wanted attention from, it was always Amelia. So I felt like she should be the one to sit and hold him when he goes to sleep, and and I stayed home with the boys and went out in the backyard in the rain and dug a hole next to our other dog Abby that's up there on the hill, and just got his spot ready for him. And then when we got him back, the kids planted flower seeds in with the soil after we filled it back in, and so there's going to be wildflowers growing on top of it, and so it's just kind of our way. The kids don't really they don't fully understand.
Yeah.
So I tried to explain it to them, but they, yeah.
No, when you were telling me about like kind of her, almost like in a weird way that a dog, not thinking like they can acknowledge you or say, yeah, I'm ready. And it's weird because it was like the similar experience I went through was with Dumplin', my dog growing up. And I know I told you the story earlier. I'm going to have to repeat it.
No, go for it.
But it was like, she was getting older, and, we had noticed she would just kind of start slowing down with certain things. She would be really hyper and active when we got home, but through the evening, she would just kind of be a lot slower. And we took her to the vet and got her checked out, and they were like, no, she's just old. She's an old pup, but, it wouldn't surprise us if she got, another couple years. She's got another couple years in her. So we were, of course, like elated with that news, and, took her home excited. And it was about 2 weeks later. It was actually the night I was studying right before the night of my psych final in freshman year of college. And I was just up there on my bed. And my dad always had this tradition of taking her down to the telephone pole at night to do her final pee before she came in and went to bed. And so he opened up the door, walked her down there, and she got down there, and she just kind of stood there and just kind of looked out. Didn't really do anything. She didn't pee. She just kind of stood there. So my dad was just kind of like, looking at her like, you okay, pup? And so he kind of pointed her back towards the driveway to walk back up, and she walked a little bit, and then he just finally picked her up, carried her to the door, and she walked into the house, and then she fell over at the bottom of the kitchen steps and started convulsing and having a seizure. Which I wasn't there for this. My parents called me down, and so I went downstairs, and as soon as I turned the corner and I'm approaching the steps, I'm seeing her at the bottom of the steps, and of course see her just having a hard time breathing. And my mom's already, it's funny because she always had this like this attitude of like every time she was in the kitchen, Dumpling would go up there and like get under her feet, and she was so small I couldn't see her. She's like, "Get this dog out of here! Somebody get her out of here! She's always under my feet and I'm tripping over her." And so she was sitting there on the couch, and she was the first one crying, because of course she even said, she was like, "I don't want to see the little thing suffer." She's like, we've got to put her down. I'm not going to have her, having seizures. And both my dad and I just kind of, we nodded in like acknowledgement, like, of course. And so they called a 24-hour vet, and they told them what we were coming for. And they said, yeah, bring her up here. And we were going to go put her down, and got a towel and wrapped her up in it and carried her out to the car. And she was already kind of passing, but she would kind of come back in spurts and breathe real heavily, and then, it would die back down, and she was kind of there lucid for a second, then it would just, her eyes would roll back, she'd be back out of it. And it was like my dad got in the car. We were out there for a little bit waiting on him. He got in. We headed out, and we were on our way there, and she passed while I was holding her. And I just remember we got her there to the hospital. We took her in there, and my dad and I took her in. My mom waited in the car, and we said our goodbyes in there. And I think it was, one thing that struck me about your story, Sean, was, you don't want to put them down because you want to have as much time with them. But at the same time, you don't want them to suffer because you don't want your selfishness to make them hurt. And I think that was having had the news the 2 weeks prior of her having another 2 years in her possibly gave me this hope of, oh, no, she's fine.
Yeah.
And then I think for me, the best thing was having her pass right there in the car, because it was this moment of, okay, she is done. She's gone.
And you didn't have to do it.
And I didn't have to do it. And it felt like closure in the sense that it was like I was able to spend as much time with her as I could.
Yeah.
And it was heartbreaking, of course, because, I had known her from a little kid. I felt just as bad, I think, the next day because, like, my mom called my brother and my sister, who were no longer living at home. My brother was up in Toledo. And it was just, and funny enough, my brother was her favorite. She would always go to his door, sleep in there in his room. And, but it was this sense of like, she had been there through all of us growing up, and so it was really hard to take that loss. One of the first big losses, that close to me.
It's definitely a difficult decision to make because I had to do it with Kobe. He was also 13 years old, and
That's weird. All three of our dogs were 13
Yeah,
years old.
yeah,
that's
that's
messed
crazy.
up.
yeah, which is my
Lucky number.
Yeah,
That's even
You
more
don't die
messed
this year.
up.
yeah.
How,
Right.
You're 13,
Are
Keith?
you 13?
I'm not.
Times
but
2, times
it was
3.
one of those situations where he too was 13 years old. He was an elderly dog, and he had been for about a day or two. I could tell like his sides and stuff. He was kind of getting bloated, and like he couldn't get up the steps anymore. He was already old and doing well, but I also noticed that it's like there was swelling and bloating, and I was like, okay, this isn't right. And then he kept getting weaker where he could act. So I took him to the vet. I think it was maybe about the third day when nothing was going. I was like, okay, there's something wrong. And I mean, they did. The vet talked to me about it because they said like there were all kinds of options that they offered to me, but basically none of them were viable.
Life sustaining.
They were
Yeah.
not viable. Like they had stated, his heart was swollen. He had a lot of fluid around his heart and his body, and that was what was like causing him trouble breathing and moving. And they said, yeah, there's a series of antibiotics we can give him, and there's all this different stuff we can do that would cost thousands of dollars. But they said the chance of him living would still be minuscule. Like it's like it's not very likely that any of it would do him do him much good. And even if it did save his life at his age, he didn't have very many years left anyways. And even if these things worked, his quality of life would not be very good. So it is a tough decision because you're thinking, man, like, you want to do everything possible. It's like, well, I don't have thousands of dollars, but if I do this, maybe there's that one chance that 20% chance that it will work.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I mean, you have to think, okay, what's best for him? It's like, yes, there might be a minute chance that it works, but if it's not going to give him any better quality of life or do anything, I mean, you're really just prolonging their suffering.
Yeah.
Because I had a little bit of that guilt thinking, okay, am I choosing to murder my dog because, but at the end of the day, I mean, I did, and it was kind of like Sean. I mean, they gave me a moment alone with him, and he was laying on the table there, and he was kind of laying his head on my arm, and he just had this look it's time. And I didn't feel bad about it anymore because I knew it's like, okay, he's suffering. And even if we go through all this stuff, he's going to suffer during all of it.
Yep.
He may not live. He might live another year and die anyway. And it was just one of those things where I felt a little bit of guilt at first, but at the end of the day, I was like, no, this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And it is. It's hard. I bawled like a baby because I was like, I've had him for 13 years. He, like, just like Sean said with his kids and Cooper, he was very protective of my nieces. My sister had a series of problems with her pregnancy with Lainey, and Lainey went home and was at my parents' house for almost a week while my sister was still in the hospital. And, I mean, of course, Kyle was around, but he had to work, and he was also going to the hospital to be with Miranda. So Lainey was kind of like her first week of life was mostly at my parents', and he was very protective of her. And when Miranda finally got to go home and they were taking Lainey home, Kyle and Miranda, he walked. Like, Kyle put her in this car seat. He followed her from the crib to the car seat, kept his head in the car seat with her all the way until they left the door, because this was a new baby that he had been watching over for like a week, and it was just
Had
those
that
things like
attachment.
that it was like it's crazy to think dogs can have that sense of protectiveness, and I mean that's why dogs are man's best friend, because they are loyal and protective.
Well, I was gonna say, when like you said, in that moment where you're with them in their final moments, and you realize, you know, it's like they have lived their whole life, you know, to be there for you.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's weird to think, because it's not a human sacrifice. And I'm not trying to compare the two, but it is. But
I will sacrifice you for the greater good.
You sound like
no.
Nancy Pelosi.
No, oh gosh, oh God.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, George Floyd,
but no,
for sacrificing
seriously though,
yourself. But no, it's like this.
They really have.
This
lived their life.
animal does nothing but, you know, when you raise it from a pup and you're feeding it, and you're taking care of it, it's like it depends solely on you to live. But at the same time, you know, it's like when I come home now and I've got my new pup, which it took me 15 years, you know, I mean, almost 15 years to get a new dog.
pup.
And yet
She's no dumpling.
no,
I hate to
no,
tell
no.
you, she's no dumpling.
I would say that, but it's like, that's the thing. Like, I wouldn't, you know, even compare the two.
You're not. You don't.
I,
that's the thing.
It's weird.
You
I
don't
do
get another
have,
dog to replace the old dog.
No, and
they're all
it,
unique in their own
they
way.
do. They all have their own personalities, and
Yep.
and it is funny because it's like they, you know, not only that, but it's like, I think it's different for a lot of people, because some can just kind of, you know, have another animal. And I used to think when growing up with Dumpling, like, no, I can't have another dog. Like, she's my dog, and you know, it would be betraying her if I had But it's like a kid. It's like, just because you have more kids, you love them all the same, but because they're all unique and
You
different.
can't have another kid. You'll be betraying your other kid.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that right? Is that right, Sean?
That's not right.
But
Oh,
no,
so you can't have more kids?
No, I can't.
Okay.
the surgery's been done.
Yeah. I did it in the garage.
You put a vice on it.
Surprise, Amelia! Surprise!
But no, I just like, it is that heartfelt moment of when they are there with you in that final moment, and it's like, I've seen you, you know, throughout your whole life, and you've been there just as like depending on me, and I've depended on you when I just needed a friend and needed a pal.
Yep.
And you know, and I think that's the hardest part of letting them go is.
Yeah.
They didn't have any other purpose or existence but that.
Yeah. To me, one of the hardest parts is when the vet presents you with these options. And I mean, I would think for the average person, those options are just financially impossible.
Yeah.
A lot of the times.
A lot of the time.
And
For a pet.
Unless you have
feel
pet
like-
insurance.
yes,
Some people
if
do
it's
that.
yeah.
I'm not.
No,
I don't.
Love you,
yeah,
Dumpling,
that's
but
crazy.
no.
But I mean, yeah, you always have that feeling of guilt too when it's like, I let money get in the way of keeping you alive.
Yeah.
And it's like I've been there. We talked about it. My wife said, like, if we take him to the vet and they say they can do a surgery or they say they can do this, we can't spend $2,000 on this dog that might live another year.
Right.
And it's like, man, you feel so freaking guilty.
You feel cold-hearted.
Yeah, you feel
Yeah, you do.
cold-hearted,
Yeah.
and then you feel bad about yourself for not having enough money to keep them alive.
Yeah.
And it's like, I hate it when I wish more vets were more like, when they look at the situation, they see the dog and they just know this dog is better off gone. You're
Well, and
better
I
off
think
letting
most
them
of
go.
them do that
That's
I've,
what-
I've
Yeah, yeah.
encountered. They do it in a warming way of saying, like, look, these are the options, but I think, and it's weird because I almost feel like vets are a little bit more honest than sometimes doctors, because in the sense they know that pets are, you know, again, it's like when it comes to saving a human life versus your pet,
Right.
Again,
They're
even
not
those
disposable, but at the same
No.
time, it's not a human. Yeah,
right,
It's not a person. It's not your child.
Exactly, and I think it's one of those things where they know the burden isn't worth it, and they don't want you to sit here and then have the guilt after of, I paid all this money and invested all this time,
Yeah.
and I
And
didn't
then
get
the
that
dog
much
died
more.
anyway,
Potentially
yeah.
make
Right.
them worse.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, a dog can't communicate and say, I'm still living in pain.
Yeah.
And it's like the best thing for the dog is they lived a full life.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
13 years, 13 times 7, you're looking at, it's an elderly body.
Yep.
They've been through enough. And, it's like, I don't think it would take me nearly as long to get another dog, like heaven forbid when my new dog, Edie, and that's the weird thing too, is now getting her at such an age that I am, it's like I'm getting her at like when my dad got Dumpling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because I understand too that my dad was attached to Dumpling. He saw her grow up. Like he was the one that was physically taking care of her because we were kids. We just saw her as a play toy.
It's different when you have them from a puppy.
Yeah.
I mean, it is
totally different.
I know that it's not a child, but it does feel like a child because you are raising and taking care of and nurturing.
You've got to think. I mean, it's weird how even just like, it's like I gotta
watch
come
them grow.
home
I mean, every week I come over here, she's
bigger.
Edie's bigger, and her legs are getting longer, and I'm just
awkward.
It's just
She's at
funny.
that, she's at that awkward lanky stage.
That's right.
Yeah,
now.
she is. And but it's like I'll be driving home and I'm like, well, I can't go straight and take a nap. I'm tired, but I gotta feed her. I gotta take her for a walk. I gotta, it's just a little bit of responsibility, and it's good for kids to have that when they have puppies growing up, and they're dogs and pets they're great animals to have for that companionship, but also responsibility. And but it does, they become family and they become attachments, and it makes it all the harder when you do lose them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think my next one's gonna be a tiger.
I thought about that.
I'm just gonna get a tiger.
I saw Tiger and Tiger saw man.
Yep, that's what exactly what I was
I
thinking.
saw Tiger. Hey, him and his husband are doing just fine.
Really?
He's sticking with them through prison.
Oh.
They were talking about divorce.
I thought they divorced.
No.
Oh,
He's
okay.
he's staying.
I think he said while you're in prison, you can have other relationships.
I think maybe.
Well, now they're working on a television series.
Yeah.
for Tiger King.
Well,
Like,
Nicolas
not-
he'll be
but-
out.
but
He'll
not-
be out in
Cage is gonna
5
be
years.
Tiger
No,
King.
not him. I'm
Oh.
saying they're making a series about it'll be an
Well-
actor playing him. Like it's a fictionalized
well, yeah,
series
we
about
know
him.
it's
Yeah.
gonna be.
Nicolas Cage is already
No.
been cast.
That's the movie. They're talking about making a
Oh,
TV
they're-
show,
oh,
like a
okay.
TV
Well, then David
series.
Spade needs to be him.
oh my
That
They're
was
talking about making like
Yes.
a TV
Oh
series
my
about
God.
it.
David Spade
I
would
never
be
even
perfect.
thought he could just be Joe Dirt and he'd be Tiger King. Like he's already got the repertoire.
He's
already ready.
good. Joe
Got the
Dirt
mullet
3.
and everything.
I
Tiger
agree.
King is me.
Oh my
That would be
God! All he
great.
needs to do is pierce his penis with a lock.
Oh my
Here's the
God.
thing, though.
Like
If
freaky
he's
door
playing Joe
lock.
Dirt, who's playing Carol Baskins? She's going to be Carol Baskins is going to be she has to be the villain of the series. So who's playing her?
Oh man,
I
Kathy
don't know.
Bates.
That would be amazing.
That would be
I
good.
want it. David Spade
Oh,
and Kathy
Kathy
Bates.
Kathy Bates in a golf cart.
Emmy Gold right there.
Oh,
that would be
man.
perfect. Absolutely. Tiger King's coming. All right, Andy's coming out. He's suffering depression, so his husband's gonna stick with him.
Yep. It is 10:30.
Oh, we
Yeah,
went
it's
way
a long
over.
show.
Look, Pats get to us.
Yep. How did your dog die?
Yeah, write us.
Write us.
RM Podcast at redmoonproductions.com, right there at the bottom of your screen. I guess we could go now.
We don't care
because
about cats. I don't want to hear your cat stories. Just dogs.
I know,
cats don't have any affection.
I know stories about how other people's pets die that would be hilarious, but we're not going to talk about that right now.
Oh my God.
Brandon. Well, Brandon's got a few stories that he knows about. Like I said, I'm not
that's
gonna
terrible.
shout anything out.
I
But,
think
you
I've
know,
told the Ichabod story on here. It's in one
No,
of
not
our
that one.
episodes. Oh, I don't know the other one.
Crunch and Munch.
Oh yeah. That's gonna do it for this
After the
episode
show.
of the Red Moon Podcast. Right there at the bottom of your screen, Red Moon Book, Red Moon Tweet, Red Moon Picks, and search for us on YouTube under Red Moon Productions.
.com.
And go to our redmoonproductions.com. Yeah, check out all our past reviews and check out everything new and upcoming there. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And
Exploit-driven poncho punching. I don't know.
you.
I tried to do it off the top of my head. I got caught up in the dogs, you know.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.